I'm Non-Zero Sum James, your companion on this exploration of win-win games. This is another counterintuitive take on society, born out of some more research. Why people in poverty make poor decisions. A case for giving money to those who are bad with money. This is a short lesson, but one I return to again and again. A lesson I learned from Rutger Bregman in his book Utopia for Realists. The assumption. It's easy to believe that poor people are poor because they make bad decisions. Firstly, this assumption helps us make sense of why poverty exists, because we know from experience that bad decisions lead to bad outcomes. It gets us off the hook somewhat for living happily alongside poverty. After all, we are where we are in life because we have made better decisions than those who are not doing as well. As Margaret Thatcher once said, poverty is a personality defect. Secondly, we see evidence of poor people making bad decisions. We see homeless people being unproductive. We see poor teenagers dropping out of high school at a higher rate. And we see crime and antisocial behaviour accruing in low socioeconomic regions. However, as discussed in Saving Lives Reduces Overpopulation, correlation isn't causation. And sometimes a counterintuitive cause is at play. The counterintuitive reality. While bad decisions can lead to poverty, it turns out people in poverty might also make worse decisions because they are poor. This has been demonstrated in 2 studies by a Princeton research team led by Eldar Shafir. Sugarcane cash. The first study looked at 464 Indian sugarcane farmers who were paid a subsistence wage throughout the year and then received a large lump sum after harvest, essentially making them poor for part of the year and rich for another part. This unique opportunity allowed researchers to test the same individuals in 2 very different financial situations. Shafir's team tested the farmers' IQ before harvest, during the time they were most poor, and after harvest, when they were flush with cash. They found that in the test after the harvest, their IQ scores increased by 13 points. The bill. In the second study, researchers approached people in a shopping mall in New Jersey and asked half of them to imagine receiving a mechanic's bill for $150 and the other half a bill for $1,500. These participants were then given an IQ test, and even though the bill was fictional, priming the participants with this level of financial stress resulted in significantly lower test scores for those who were both less well off and were given the more expensive bill. When they thought about the hard scenarios, people at the lower end of the income scale performed significantly worse on both cognitive tests, while the rich participants were unfazed. It's important to note that there have been some issues with reproducibility of Shafir's research. In other studies giving cash grants, effects have not been as dramatic, and there are nuances with different cognitive abilities being affected differently, sometimes even positively. The researchers point out that stress itself doesn't so much impede intelligence, but rather directs cognitive resources to more pressing concerns, away from longer-term or less quantifiable goals. And when you think about it, longer-term thinking and less quantifiable goals are really important to your future. If you're stuck dealing with what's right in front of you, you might not be able to do the big picture thinking that's required to make a really good career change or take advantage of an opportunity. A short digression regarding the Flynn effect. Now, no post concerning IQ is complete without a nod to the Flynn effect, whereby IQ increases steadily over generations, which is in line with the causal relationship we are discussing between wealth and intelligence. The Flynn effect is correlated with increases in GDP, so, on a population-wide level, as societal wealth increases, intelligence also increases, although this could be due to a number of other reasons. A vicious cycle. If it is true that poverty reduces intelligence temporarily, this could well result in bad decision-making, leading to a vicious cycle. Historically, the approach has been to address financial literacy with education. But what good will this do if the population's ability to think and understand is severely impaired, as shown by the research? A solution. Rutger Bregman suggests that providing a universal basic income will address this financial stress, enabling people to make better financial decisions. While UBI is too large a topic to cover in this post, it is just one of many direct giving initiatives that are being acknowledged for their effectiveness. The old intuitions that poverty is a necessary incentive to work, or that handouts create laziness, are being overturned by more empirical and less punitive approaches. As Rutger Bregman says, poverty isn't a lack of character, it's a lack of cash. So, the finding that poverty causes a temporary drop in IQ is something that turned my conception of the poor and decision-making in general on its head. I have found use for this piece of information in many arguments and discussions when making the case for greater compassion in a way that is win-win, and I hope you find it useful too.